إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم وصل عليه. In the name of Allah, the kind, the caring. My dear respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace, blessings and mercies of Allah Almighty be upon each and every one of you. We thank Allah, we praise Allah for giving us another opportunity to be here in this beautiful masjid to perform our Jummah Salah. We make dua, Allah Almighty accept our effort and reward each and every one of us immensely. Those my brothers sitting next to the door, if you can please come up here, it will be appreciated. Jazakallah. Jazakallah. Allah bless you all. Among the many blessings of Allah Almighty, there is one very unique blessing which each individual is enjoying in his life. There are many blessings Allah Almighty has given us or Allah Almighty has blessed us with, about which Allah Almighty mentioned in the Holy Quran, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. That if you want to count the blessings of Allah Almighty, you cannot. You cannot count it because there are countless blessings of Allah Almighty we are enjoying. But there is one very unique blessings of Allah Almighty we have in our life, and that is our tongue. That is our tongue. Zuban in Urdu it is said, through which we speak, through which we express our love, through which we say words which are valuable and respected in the court of Allah Almighty. And our tongue is something which can cause us to enter hellfire, and the same tongue can cause us to enter paradise. Right? The same tongue can make your enemy your friend, and your friend can become your enemy just by using your tongue. This is how unique this blessing of Allah Almighty is. If you are saying something which is harmful to someone, or if you are breaking someone's heart, if you are backbiting, you are slandering, you are cursing with this tongue, it means it can cause you to enter hellfire. But the same tongue you are using with the remembrance of Allah Almighty, you are praising Allah Almighty, you are saying beautiful words or good words to your friends, your parents, your relatives, your neighbors, the same tongue can cause you to enter paradise. Just it is matter of how you use your tongue. And Allah Almighty mentioned in the Holy Quran, "Inna as-sam'a wal basara wal fu'ad," that each blessings of Allah Almighty we are enjoying in our life will be asked on the day of judgment, on the day of Qiyamah, how we utilize it or how we use it. This is clearly statement of Allah Almighty. And there is mentioned very beautiful hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala wa sallam in Sahih al-Bukhari, Hazrat Sahal bin Sa'ad radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, one of the companions of Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala wa sallam. He narrates that Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala wa sallam mentioned, "Man yadman li bayna lahjayhi wa bayna rijlayhi adman lahul jannah." That he who guarantees me of what is between his jaw, meaning tongue, and what is between his legs, meaning private parts, I shall guarantee that individual to enter paradise. If you guarantee that you are not going to misuse your tongue, you are not going to backbite someone, you are not going to slander or curse someone, you are not going to break someone's heart or saying harmful words to your brother, to your family members, to your neighbors, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that I guarantee that individual to enter to paradise. And the second part, which Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned, that if he or she guarantees that they will protect themselves, their chastity, their self, they are not going to commit any sin, any major sin, adultery, or any zina, I guarantee that individual to entry into paradise. Once you give guarantee of two things which you have in your life. So there is guarantee from Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that inshallah that individual will be entered into paradise. So on daily basis, if we look at since morning till evening, how many times we speak, right? How many times we speak and how many times we say things without even realizing is it beneficial or not. Without even realizing my words are breaking someone's heart or not. Without even realizing the thing or the communication you having, it is beneficial for my brothers or not. We don't think like that. So Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned that there is another narration in which Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was asked that Ya Rasulullah, Hadrat Abi Juhayfa radiyallahu ta'ala, he narrates that Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked, Ayyul a'mali ahabbu ilallah, that which deed is most pleasing to Allah Almighty, which deed is more beloved and dear to Allah Almighty. So this question Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked to his companion. Everyone kept quiet and did not reply. They didn't reply. So Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned that it is to guard one's tongue. It is to protect your tongue for saying such things which are not beneficial to people. This is more dear to Allah Almighty. This action is more beloved in the sight of Allah Almighty. So, my dear respected brothers and sisters, countless times we speak, countless times we say things, and there are many times we say things, which are not beneficial, neither for myself nor for others. In fact, you can be in trouble on the day of judgment by saying those words or by saying, such bad words. So always, think before you say something. There is another narration Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned, Hadrat Abi Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu ta'ala who reported. Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam mentioned, إِذَا أَصْبَحَ ابْنُ آدَمَ فَإِنَّ الْأَعْضَاءَ كُلَّهَا تُكَفِّرُ اللِّسَانَ فَتَقُولُ اتَّقِ اللَّهَ فِينَا فَإِنَّمَا نَحْنُ بِكَ. That when a man get up in the morning, all the limbs humble themselves before the tongue and say, fear Allah concerning us. The reason is that for we depend on you. Our body depends on our tongue. Because remember, sometimes if we having fight, tongue curse or tongue says something bad and people beat our body. Right? So just because you use bad words, there is a big fight. They beating each other, sometimes it have killing as well. Why it have killing? My hand did not curse, my feet don't curse. It's tongue, which cause these kind of fighting, these kind of killing. So every morning our body parts, our limbs humble themselves before tongue and say, fear Allah concerning us. For we are dependent on you. If you are straight, we are straight. If you went wrong, we went wrong. Doesn't matter how nice person you are. Doesn't matter you are performing your namaz 5 times or how educated you are. The minute you say something bad, your personality damages. Isn't it true? Right? The minute you say something bad, your personality damages. It doesn't matter how religious you are or how educated you are. So it's matter of using our tongue. And this is very unique blessing that it has no bone. But when it hits someone, people remember throughout their life. Right? You may have experienced that in your life. You may have experienced somebody told you something and up to now you remember. Although that individual passed away and you have forgiven that individual, but still there is something in your heart. Why he said that? Why such word or such statement he made towards me? Why? You up to now you want to know that. So it's matter of using our tongue. And tongue is something which can make two countries enemies of each other. Two countries can become friend of each other by using our tongue. Isn't it true? There are many countries, came together, they having no contract and all these things. Why? Because of tongue. Because of using tongue according to the narration of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And again, this is worldly matter, but if you remember, if you are backbiting, if you are slandering, if you are saying these things which are, quotable in the sight of Allah Almighty, you can be in trouble on the day of judgment as well. Not only in this world, but also on the day of judgment. Especially when we get angry. That's it. We don't care what we're saying and who is in front of me. Doesn't matter our parents, brothers, sisters. This is something which we experience on daily basis. This is not something I'm talking about like I living in space. This is something which we experience on daily basis. On street, many times people fighting and the kind of words we hear, we can't imagine that. So Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, the wise person is the one who think before saying something. So after you regret and after you apologizing and saying sorry, it is better to think before you say something. Right? And how interested that if you having an argument with somebody and your friend or your neighbor or your family member, they get vexed with you because you said something bad. And after 1 day or 2 days, when you guys realize that, I shouldn't have said this or I shouldn't make this statement, the same tongue you're using and saying, sorry my brother, I have made a mistake, so please forgive me, and you came here together. You came back. You again become friends. So you see how unique this blessing of Allah is. But again, Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, the wise is the one who speak, who think before he says something. Sometimes a trivial matter or minor thing or small issue, we make it big. Why? Because of misusing our tongue. Because we don't know how to handle the situation. So just because of misusing our tongue, we make that matter very, very big. So we make dua that Allah Almighty grant us tawfiq to speak little but meaningful, or speak less but meaningful, which is beneficial to our brothers, which is beneficial to our family. One of the qualities of good friend, I mentioned here that Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, good friend is the one when you sit with him, he increases you in knowledge. Meaning, whatever he's speaking, whatever he's saying is beneficial. He's talking you about God, he's talking about Islam, he's talking about namaz, or even in worldly thing, he's telling you something which is beneficial for you. He not backbiting, he not slandering, he not putting down people. This is one of the qualities of a good friend. So related to this, there is mentioned in a hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala sallam, Hazrat Imran bin Hattan rahmatullahi ta'ala, he mentioned that I met Abu Zar al-Ghifari radiyallahu ta'ala, and he was sitting in masjid alone, and he had a blanket wrapped around him. He was sitting alone in masjid. So I asked him, "Oh Abu Zar al-Ghifari, why are you sitting alone in masjid? Why this solitude?" So he replied that I had heard Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala wasallam saying, sitting alone or solitude is better than an evil companion. Sitting alone is better than that friend which can lead you towards Jahannam. Sitting alone is better than that bad companion or that bad friend which can lead you to path which is disliked by Allah. That is the reason Hazrat Abu Zar al-Ghifari rahmatullahi ta'ala said, I am sitting alone in masjid. And then he mentioned, a good companion is better than solitude. Now if you have good friend, then it is better to communicate with that individual than sitting alone. Because when you will speak with that individual, when you will have communication with that individual, he will guide you to the path which is liked by Allah. He will lead you towards namaz, he will lead you towards Islam. He will tell you something which is beneficial. He will make your life good. So first what he said, sitting alone is better than bad companion. Then if you have good friend, then sitting with that individual is better than sitting alone. Because when you will communicate, of course he will increase you. He will mention some good things or beneficial knowledge to you. And after that, he said, speaking what is good is better than silence. Speaking good is better than silence. So when you know that if you have a good advice to give me instead of silence. If I have something good to tell you, it is better. We know that this action supposed to not be, or this action supposed to be like that, but we don't say. Sometimes we fear that might the person will get vexed with me if I advise. But it is always better to advise. It is always better to say something which is beneficial for your brother than silence. And at the end, Hazrat Abu Zar al-Ghifari radiyallahu ta'ala mentioned that silence is better than talking even. So these four things are very important. These are in fact golden advices which are given by Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala wasallam. Sitting alone is better than bad companion. But if you have good companion, then sitting with that individual is better than sitting alone. And then he said that saying something good is better than silence. And then he mentioned at the end, silence is better than saying bad words. So if we implement these things in our life, you will see how nice our life will be. How nice our life will be. Sometimes it experienced with me personally. I never met a person, but I just had communication with that individual on WhatsApp. But the way he was communicating, I didn't like that. I never met him. But I just have that, this communication is supposed to not be like that. I never even met that individual. So you see how important that communication is, how important is how you speak. Sometimes you met a person once in life and you remember throughout your life. Because the way he speaks, the way he treated you, the way he met you, you remember throughout your life. And on the other hand, if somebody treated you badly or somebody rough you up, it is rough you up, right? Or if somebody talked to you in a harsh way, you still remember throughout your life, but not with good words. You say, no way, I don't even want to see that individual, because you know why? The way he speaks, I can't handle that. So it's all about that. You can make your enemy your friend by using your tongue. And you can make your friend your enemy by using your tongue. So this is what Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala wa sallam has given us these advices. We make dua Allah Almighty grant us tawfiq to act accordingly. The last hadith, Hazrat Mu'adh bin Jabal radiyallahu ta'ala, he mentioned that I asked, O Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala wa sallam, if all that we say is recorded, whatever we say it is recorded, or we will be asked on the day of judgment, whatever we say. Nabi Kareem sallallahu ta'ala wa sallam said, Thaqilatka ummuka, oh Mu'adh, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Whatever we say, it is recorded in the sight of Allah Almighty. And he said, there is nothing more that throws people over their faces into hellfire than their tongue. Indeed, you remain safe as long as you are silent. But when you speak, it will either be recorded in your favor, a good deed, or against you, a sin. So as long as you silent, you say. Now the minute you utter something, either it is in your favor or you against. So it's up to us how we want to speak. It's up to us that either we want our words to be in our favor or against us. Whatever you speak, little, less, or plenty, it will be recorded in the sight of Allah. And on the day of resurrection, on the day of Qiyamah, we have to answer for each word we speak in this world. So this is a great advice from Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that man samata naja, the one who remains silent, got salvation. So always think before you say something, my dear respected brothers and sisters. Doesn't matter you are talking to your friend, you are in meeting, you are talking with family members, you are in party, you are in birthday function. Of course, this is culture of Trinidad and Tobago. People sit together and line 1 hour, 2 hours. So whenever you sit in such gathering, it is possible, as I always say, that you saying something, you making joke, but your joke breaking someone's heart. You don't know. Words are more, how to say, effectful, it is said, than knife. People remember throughout their life your words. So before you break someone's heart, or before people don't like you, always think before you say something, inshallah, and speak meaningful, speak less and meaningful. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that most of the faults that the son of Adam commit are by his tongue. Because many times we misuse our tongue, many times we say things which are not really good to say, or which are not really liked by Allah Almighty, and we will be questioned about this matter. So we make dua, Allah Almighty grant us tawfiq to speak meaningful. Allah Almighty save us from backbiting, from slandering, and from using bad words, or from cursing, and all these matters. We make dua, Allah Almighty protect us, protect our tongue, and Allah Almighty grant us tawfiq to act according to the hadith of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ameen bi jahi Nabi al-Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. قال الله تبارك وتعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان